And we're live. Should I be turning my screen like this? Is that what I should be doing? Nope, I'm keeping it like this. Easier. Hey guys, we're live. We're on the internet's YouTube. Hey, I've got my buddy Shroom Day who'll be joining here in a moment. He asked for about a minute, so I figured I'd kick us off here. Um, do I need this on? I like this on because I can hear better from Shroom Day. If I didn't have a guest tonight, I'd probably take the headphones off. But this allows for better audio for me. But the audio that's surrounding me out here in nature behind me, guys, just amazing. As I'm out here in that liminal space between nature and man's creation on a nature reserve. But the sounds of nature out here are so beautiful. If you haven't heard, I uploaded a couple days, maybe a week ago now, I don't remember, but I uploaded some sounds of some owls that I heard out here. So that was pretty fun. But I figured I'd let the chat roll with my buddy Shroom Day. I think Chubby Hubby might be joining us tonight in the chats. I always struggle with trying to figure out how to actually chat in the chats, how to leave a comment. Yeah, I don't know how that's done, but Shroom Day will be watching the screens and monitoring for comments and letting me know if things need to be shared or said. Hey, welcome.
What's
There he
going
is.
on, everybody?
Hey, so far it's just us from the looks of it. But it does say, it does show on my screen somewhere right above me that we have one person right now. So I can actually see the counter. Now, is that you? You might be
No,
the one.
I actually have to get my butt over to your channel so I can pull up the live stream.
All right. Well, welcome to this one person. But we have a rule around here that the number of likes on this video have to match the number of people watching.
There now.
So if you're watching this video on YouTube, hit that like button. Help the algorithm share what we have going on this channel. Hi, I'm Mr. Jeff, and next to me here is Shroom Day. Am I looking at you when I do this?
Yep. And over in the chat, that way, we have Mr. Chubby Hubby.
Yeah, hey. So I don't know how. I haven't figured out how to use this live stream service in conjunction with YouTube and allow me to chat. So you're kind of my proxy chat for me, Shroom Day.
Yeah.
So you're going to be letting me know if you see something that needs to be shared or something needs to be typed in the chat. I'm leaving you as the guy in control of the chats.
All right. Well, there is an option. There should be an option there for comments on your phone, so you can actually see the chat.
Oh yeah, I just highlighted one. It's on the screen right now. There. See, I can. So apparently, I have the ability to highlight a comment, bump it up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a neat little thing. But I don't know how to actually leave a comment myself. So I just have to be the guy talking.
That's what you're here for.
But there we go. But I like the fact that I can actually highlight a comment. I could put it on the screen while I'm talking about a question, which would be a neat thing if we actually got some viewers on here who has some real fungal questions to discuss. I see we've got a couple here. So, hey, Loving Dean, the God Machine, welcome back. I've seen you a few weeks now. Here's the problem. These handles and these nicknames on the YouTubes, I don't know who that person is in real life. So as far as I know, they could be a friend of you in real life, Shroom Day. They could be someone living in another country.
They're just one of our single friends.
Okay. Well, I don't want to be rude to anybody jumping on here, but I know I've seen the name Loving Dean a few times. So, Dean,
welcome.
Much appreciated. Yeah, thank you. Welcome for being here. If you had a chance to catch the live premiere of the follow up, the conclusion of my talk on Malassezia yeast and Parkinson's, awesome. Throw some questions my way. I don't dump everything in those videos. Like I have to tell myself when I'm recording the videos on the side of my truck, I have to tell myself, okay, Jeff, they don't need to hear all that. So I cut a lot of it. It doesn't even make it to film. I deep dive a lot of information and then I only throw 10 minutes at you. But I could probably put a half hour up there. It's just really in depth talking about the different cytokines and the steps and the processes that lead to the inflammation, that lead to the destruction of these neurons that are in control of dopamine, which is how you are regulating your body's movement. That's dopamine is the signal that tells your body's cells, your muscle cells, how to fire properly. Hence, why you have movement and motor control issues when you have Parkinson's.
What's
Sorry,
going on,
kind of getting
Stuart?
ahead of myself. I'm just making up questions for myself, I guess. Here, hi, Stuart. Much love. Um,
Stuart's
I'm
one of my friends
welcoming.
from the coin community.
Oh, excellent! Thanks for joining us tonight. I hear, man, I've got one of my biggest proselytizers next to me here, sharing the shiitake out of my videos and telling people. So no doubt I want him to come back every freaking Monday night because he's growing my channel better than I am.
Well,
He's
you're
telling people
educating.
come out to my channel, and then they come out to my channel and see a shitty video.
No, man, it's all about education and sharing information. You know, you're putting stuff out there that I didn't know. I'm learning just along with everybody else here.
And you
I
guys are just riding along on my surfboard with me because that's the thing. I wasn't born with this knowledge. And most of this stuff, it's a combination of having prior knowledge in certain things like chemistry, sure. But this focus on fungi, mushrooms, yeast, molds, and these topics, this is new for me in the past couple of years. And it's new to science. Like a lot of the research papers that I read, that I find out about this connection, like particularly like the Parkinson's Malassezia connection, these research papers stem back from maybe as old as 2016, 2019. Some of them I read were 2023, 2024. So this is current information that hasn't developed into anything beyond just research. It hasn't turned into new medication. It hasn't turned into new medical practice. So this is cutting edge information that I feel like I'm kind of Robin Hood of
now
this medical field. I'm
I
going in
got a
and stealing
question
the
for you.
information and sharing it to us poor people so we
Has
can use it.
anybody grown out this Malassezia on an agar plate? That's my question. And then, has anybody
Mm-hmm.
ever put a different type of fungus on that same agar plate to see what kind of results they get, to see if one fungus kills the other?
Well, I can tell you this. So Malassezia, we understand it is part of our biome. It's part of our skin biome. It plays a role. I think it controls and helps balance sebum levels on the surface of our skin. I think that's how our bodies have adapted to it living there. Is it's like, yeah, we secrete this on our skin, our sweat and our sebum. It's secreted. It's kind of in the same sense as how we got these little critters that live on our eyebrows that kind of munch on the dead skin cells, these mites. I mean, this is how the body is. The body is a home. It's almost like we're a planet to a whole ecosystem of microorganisms. And the Malassezia is no different. But what's unique about Malassezia, unlike most yeast, is it eats fat. It eats the fatty acids, the lipids. So that's the struggle. I mentioned this in the video last Monday, but the struggle with culturing Malassezia yeast on a petri dish is if you don't know any better. For example, hospital trying to run a culture from an infection on the skin, you might not even actual grow the Malassezia out because what's most petri dish is going to be some kind of like a sugar, dextrose or something.
Right.
It's not going to have the nutrients for the Malassezia to actually propagate and grow on the dish. So unless you know that you're particularly trying to grow Malassezia out, and you create a special culture dish for it, it's not going to thrive on any regular dish. And so I don't know if that helped to answer any of our questions here. But labs have grown Malassezia out. These studies have been done. They say in vitro. They're doing that. They're growing these out and doing and playing around with them. But I don't know if there's been any competitive dish work where Malassezia versus Candida. Candida being the common one that lives in our gut, the one that causes most yeast infections. But that's a sugar lover, like most yeasts. I mean, we have beer and we have bread because yeast love sugar. Malassezia, the genus of about, I don't know if there's over seven, I forget the number, but there's a number of species that all fall under this lipid loving Malassezia genus. I just said a lot of stuff, and I want to welcome anybody else that jumped in. I don't know. Good evening to Stuart. I can see the chats in front of me pretty nicely here, too, on StreamYard, better than on YouTube. It's nice because it's
Okay.
bigger print. So that's kind of neat. But nonetheless, I do want to be the guy talking to the camera. Is anybody throwing questions at me that I'm missing? Oh, right here. We got a question. This is a good question. I'm
Loving
looking at the
Dean, yeah.
question, Loving Dean. What causes dandruff? Isn't it a fungi? Yeah, so this is what we're talking about. We're not going to see it on the side of my truck because it's on the dark side of the moon here. All I got on the light side of my truck is Marty McFly and some beta glucan knowledge behind me here. Yeah. So that being said, you'll just have to take my word on this. But I did a little thing. And for those watching, go back and check out the video on your own time from 2 Mondays ago where I introduced Malassezia to us. Malassezia is the cause of dandruff, but it's not like people with dandruff have Malassezia and people without dandruff don't have Malassezia. That's not the case. Malassezia is known as a commensal organism where it's basically symbiotic, or it's hanging out. It's using us as a home and as a food source, but it doesn't, under normal conditions, it doesn't impede our life, right? It's not out killing us. It's not really a parasite. And as a matter of fact, the dandruff or the seborrheic dermatitis, that's not like a parasitic. How do you explain this? I want to say like a parasite is a parasite, right? That's how I feel. But in this case, this doesn't become parasitic, it becomes pathogenic. That's a better way of putting this. It becomes harmful to us, but not because it's becoming a parasite. It becomes harmful to us because the balance of our immune system keeping it at bay, something got wonky with it. So either our immune system is overreacting, it's getting overhyped about a fungus that's already living on our scalp. So it starts creating these pro-inflammatory signaling, these cytokines that tells the body we got a problem here, and it causes our body to come in and attack extra. The redness, the soreness, the inflammation, that's your body responding. Just like if you were to cut your finger, say you got a cut on your finger, and when it's first cut, it hurt. You feel the pain, right? Of course. But there's not redness and tenderness yet. The redness and the tenderness comes like the next day, and you're like, man, it's worse now than it was after I cut it. That's because your body's creating these signals. It's all immune response. And inflammation, while it serves a purpose in the immediate to prevent worse things from happening, chronic inflammation is what's causing these neurodegenerative diseases. I guess I'm jumping the gun and jumping right over to Parkinson's. We're still talking about dandruff here, but dandruff is inflammation. Seborrheic dermatitis, inflammation. Anything, I'll tell you what. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Shroom Day. I'm just going to town here.
Stuart had made a comment, symbiote until it's not, overfeeding condition of contamination.
Well, I guess that would be up to the dermatologist or whatever to determine why you're having maybe a dandruff flare up. If someone's having dandruff and they were to visit their dermatologist, they're probably going to inspect and be like, okay, clearly you have an outbreak of malassezia, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to give you Head and Shoulders, which has an antifungal medicine in it. Or they give you some topical cream that has an antifungal, an azole probably, like fluconazole. I can't think of all the other different azoles, but if you look at a package of an antifungal medicine and read the back label on it, it probably contains a medication that ends with the letters AZOLE, and that's a common medication that breaks down the cell walls of fungi. Because if you watch the video I did on ergosterol and the fungal triterpenoids, these azole medications break down that ergosterol part of the cell membrane of these fungi, something that we don't have to worry about. And that's why they're generally, regarded, I don't want to say they're purely safe for humans, but they're deadly to a fungus where they're not really damaging to us, these medications. They may have other side effects, but as far as like destroying the cell membranes of us, they don't do that like they do to the fungi.
Well,
But that's what they would give somebody with dandruff. I'm sorry.
if it's destroying the fungus, wouldn't that kill any medicinal benefits that we would receive from the fungus, or would that get destroyed before our bodies picked it up?
Are you talking about dandruff, the malassezia getting killed off by a medication?
Well,
Is that the fungus we're still talking about? Because I like you would be killing off the natural biome, just like when you use antimicrobial or antibacterial soap, you wash away your skin's microbes, right? Um, and that's not the normal condition we're supposed to be in. So without them being there, you could have an increase in sebum production on your skin that's not being maintained. I mean, it's all about balance. I guess it's kind of like somebody having too dry of skin versus oily skin. There, you want to find balance, and the fungi are just one part of the equation of having healthy skin.
okay.
Just like having certain bacteria on your skin play a role too. But they belong on your skin and they're not to be in your body, and that's why some common bacteria on your skin could lead to deadly consequences if they got in your blood. Like people who get like a staph infection, well, staphylococcus is on your skin,
Right.
but if you got it in certain parts of your body where it doesn't belong and it just goes to town and spreads, you now have an immune response, and next thing you know, you're dying because of something that got in your body that didn't belong there, but it was perfectly fine on your skin. And that's the case for malassezia. Malassezia belongs on your skin. Our bodies are like, that's the thing. Is it truly symbiotic? I think so, but I don't know if science considers it symbiotic. I feel like any organism that lives in a commensal relationship with us on our skin would be symbiotic. But I guess it's a matter of, does that yeast provide any benefit to us?
Hmm.
We know that we provide it benefit because we're a food source. But are they just getting a free ride without providing us with anything? I'd find that hard to believe. But then again, we also have, it's like it's encoded in us, in the human genome, in our immune system. We have genes that are coded to produce the helper T cell 17, which is a type of T cell, a type of CD4 cell. This is actually why AIDS patients, folks diagnosed with AIDS who don't have their CD4 cells up, their CD4 numbers, this is a count that they go and have measured on a, so often, so many months, they go and get their levels checked. They're getting their T cell levels, their CD4 cells checked. And if they're too low, that's signaling that their immune system's weak. they're going to be prone to fungal infections because that Th17, which the AIDS virus attacks, that's protecting your body against the common fungi that live in and on your body. So somebody with AIDS, I think this, no, don't quote me, guys, but I believe that of the AIDS population, they have like an 85 to 95% chance of getting dandruff. As
Hmm.
weird as that sounds, this is once again these weird connections. They all kind of stem from the immune system because the immune system is intertwined with your skin, it's intertwined with your heart, it's intertwined with your brain, it's intertwined with your kidneys, your liver, your digestive tract, your muscles. Like, what part of your body is not connected to your immune system, right? So when you have an immune deficiency, it could pop up and show its head in so many different facets. It seems like, ah, that's weird. It's only weird because we didn't see the connection. It makes sense when you see that the intertwining connection between all of these is your immune system, and hence why mushrooms. That brings it all back to the video tonight. Mushrooms bolster your immune system. They help modulate it. If your immune system's overreactive, it can help bring it back to some sort of homeostasis, and if it's underperforming, not doing its job, it can help beef it up and bolster it. Are
Now, if
mushrooms the cure? Are they the cure? I mean, it's not that simple because you have lifestyle choices that extend beyond what you eat. And I think if you just think that mushrooms are a magic pill while you can go out and live however you want, now you're just being stupid too then, I guess. Now I'm
now
judging, but
you had
whatever.
mentioned all mushrooms have the beta glucans that help.
Yeah.
All right, now as far as you're aware, are there any particular mushrooms that have a higher count in these beta glucans than others? Like
There are, but
like
that's just because of
the um, the typical mushroom that you would find in the grocery store, the portobello. Um, that's I think what most people would think of when they think mushrooms, rather than the lion's mane and the shiitake, oysters. There's so many other gourmet mushrooms out there, but the
right.
grocery store only seems to provide the portobellos. So, like, would they be just as effective in aiding um, the intake of your beta glucans as any of the others?
For the sake of consuming beta glucans, yeah, consume any mushroom that's edible, of course. You're going to get your beta glucans. I'll start by saying beta glucans are a component of the cell wall slash cell membrane structure. I guess it would be part of the cell wall structure of the fungal cells. So you eat a mushroom, you're getting beta glucans. It doesn't matter if it's an oyster mushroom, shiitake, lion's mane, cordyceps, even even yeast. Even if you're consuming like brewer's yeast in your diet or nutritional yeast or some kind of supplement that's yeast, if you're consuming yeast, you're getting beta glucans too.
Okay.
But mind you, it's about quantity too, right? So some mushrooms are going to have more body, more actual cells than others compared to like water content or other non-cell wall compounds. So beta glucan levels do vary mushroom species to mushroom species depending on the makeup of the mushroom itself. But here's a great way of comparing this. And I just want to interrupt myself by saying we got 5 people on the live. I want to say hi to you guys. Thank you. If all 5 of you guys can smash the like button, help the algorithm bring more people in to listen in on the chat, help my channel out. Thank you guys for jumping in. We got 6 people at this point too. Anyway,
Welcome
so
everybody.
I want to here. So this will kind of bring beta glucans into perspective. What is a beta glucan? A beta glucan is a polysaccharide not too different from an alpha glucan. Alpha glucan goes by another name, starch. Okay, so plants, the plants around me, the trees and the plants we eat in our diet, plants produce alpha glucans, which we are able to digest.
Loving
But
Dean
fungi,
Loving Dean
oh,
was
go ahead.
asking if there if there's different types of mushrooms containing different quality of the beta glucans.
Yeah, I think he's talking about what we're talking about. I think he's asking right up this alley. So what I'm saying is different mushrooms do contain different amounts of beta glucans, and I'm just going to break down what a beta glucan is compared to an alpha glucan. They're both carbohydrates, but beta glucans are insoluble for us, or I mean, we're not able to digest them. It's kind of like an insoluble fiber. But you know what can digest them? Some of our gut flora, the bacteria in our gut, munch on them and they love it. It's good nutrition. So that's why they say consume turkey tail for gut health. We'll consume any mushroom for gut health for that sake. If you're not allergic to a mushroom and the mushroom's non-toxic and it's delicious, eat it. It's going to help your gut health too because those beta glucans are food for the bacteria that can break them down.
I actually
So it's
Googled it, which mushrooms have the highest amount of beta glucans, and ironically enough, the turkey tail has the
it's
highest
up
amount.
there.
Yeah,
Probably
60.
shiitake too. I'm guessing shiitake's up there too. But you tell me.
Well, this just came up with the Trimides
Trimides.
versicolor, the turkey tail at 60.79%, according to some chemical
Excuse me.
screening that they've done. That sounds
I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense intuitively because what is the body of a turkey tail mushroom? It's almost all like it's just dense material. It doesn't have much water weight, right? So if you were to actually take the dry weight of it, it's not too different from its wet weight.
right.
That's why it's going to have such a high beta glucan content by dry weight percentage. But that is where, oh, and here's the beautiful thing: beta glucans, similar to starches, being a poly or being a being a yeah, a polysaccharide. It's water soluble, so you don't have to necessarily eat mushrooms per se. Literally eat it. You can drink mushroom tea. You could take turkey tail and pulverize it into a powder and steep it and drink that tea. Excuse me, I got hiccups. But yeah, if you're consuming mushroom teas, you're getting beta glucans as well because much of that is water soluble. It's going to be in that. Now, like your triterpenoids, your alcohol solubles, your fat solubles, those aren't going to be pulled as well into just a water tea. But beta glucans, in and of themselves, are good for you, and they're not to be neglected as they are highly potent in what they can do for our body's immune system. For one, not to mention for gut health. But once again, gut health is tied to immunity. Immunity is tied to gut health. I think it's hard to separate. I separate them when I do my videos. I'm like, this mushroom's good for this, and this mushroom's good for that. But the truth is, um, it's hard to separate one aspect of health from another aspect of health. And I feel like I've been painting that picture in multiple videos. So I don't know if I answered everybody's questions. I want to welcome those who are here. If we got new faces joining, the Wandering Witch, good evening and welcome to the chat. Hit that like button, hopefully. Thank you for being here.
She
Oh,
was
we got a
saying,
question?
well, she was saying, as someone who has an autoimmune disease, celiac, gut health is one of my biggest struggles, and following a strict diet.
Hmm. I'm not going to claim to be a dietitian or a nutritionist expert,
Right.
but one thing that most people don't have a problem with is turkey tail. When it comes to consuming mushrooms, I don't know of folks that have issues with turkey tail. If anything, it helps with digestion, and you're feeding your gut biome nutrition. They call it a prebiotic, right? And it sounds like somebody who has celiac disease probably has done their homework, maybe, to know what I'm talking about when I speak of words like prebiotic or gut biome. Like these are buzzwords when you do homework trying to get your gut health better. So you probably know what I'm talking about.
Um,
Thank you for hitting that like button.
Loving Dean says, could you explain more about the compound, the terp word? Forgive me, I don't know how to spell it. Terpenes.
Was it when I said triterpenoids? Or I did mention triterpenoids maybe a couple minutes ago, if that's what he's talking about. Um,
How do you spell
so
triterpene?
tri like TRI, and then terp, and then EN, and then oid, OIDS, oids, terpenoids. And a triterpene is three isoprene units linked together in some form or fashion with the chemical formula C. What would it be? No, I'm sorry, it'd be six. A triterpene would be six isoprene units for the molecular structure of C30H 48. Oh my goodness, making me rack my brain here. That would be a triterpene. And a triterpenoid would have oxygen or other groups attached to it, switching it out to turn it into a terpenoid versus just a strict terpene. There, I'm getting too deep for you guys. But your triterpenoid compounds, what really matters when the rubber hits the road. By the way, isoprene is what rubber's made out of. But anyway, all your terpenes are made of the building block that makes rubber. But anyway, triterpenes. Think cholesterol, ergosterol, sitosterol, and there's a few other sterols. Your sterol compounds come from the triterpene, like your squalene precursor. Man, you guys got to go back and watch that video I did on ergosterol and the triterpenoids because I go into it in depth. But yeah, mushrooms contain compounds that are very similar to cholesterol and therefore can help our bodies regulate hormones similarly to how cholesterol does. Ergosterol, by the way, is a precursor to vitamin D. It's a direct precursor to vitamin D. And vitamin D is produced by mushrooms as well as we as us in a similar way. You go out in the sun, you get they call it getting your vitamin D when you're in the sun, right? When mushrooms are in the sun, they produce vitamin D too. It's pretty wild. So yeah, that's why I tell folks if you buy white button mushrooms, you can lay them out in your windowsill for an hour or so on a sunny day and let them increase their vitamin D content. Little fungi fact there. Where am I
Can
on the questions? I'm
can you
just rambling now.
can you leave them out there and overdose on vitamin D like you can with other mushrooms?
But overdose on vitamin D? Man, I think you would have. I mean, somebody correct me. That to me is the beauty of having the social aspect of this channel, allowing me to have chats and allowing me to have guests. Uh, All of this knowledge that we accumulate as a whole is continually being edited and improved on. So if I'm wrong, correct me. Let's grow together on the knowledge we're accumulating here. So I feel like it's hard to overdose on vitamin D naturally unless you're taking supplements after supplements. Like there's people that are out in the sun all the time, and I don't think they get negative effects other than maybe getting a burn, but they're not overdosing on vitamin D, are they? And I don't know of anybody who gets too much vitamin D from just food sources either.
The
But
owner
please
of
correct me if I'm wrong.
the owner of Collar City Mushrooms had told me at one time or another, leaving a certain kind of mushroom out on the windowsill too long can
Yeah.
increase the vitamin D too much, which could cause an overdose if somebody were to eat them like every night with their
Okay.
dinner or something.
Well, I suspect this is my thought, and I could be wrong on this, but I suspect that that might be somebody taking precaution based on FDA like dietary suggestive numbers, like how much what do they call it? Daily recommended values of certain vitamins
Right.
are.
Okay.
Those numbers, though, I think are arbitrary in the sense that somebody had to just pick them out of a hat. Because what's one, sorry. So the number that your body needs might be different than the amount that my body needs, right? Because
Right.
we're individuals by weight and genetic makeup and enzyme profiles, all that plays into it. But I also think they lowball a lot of these vitamins because it was like your daily recommended value was more or less a minimum standard to keep you guys from getting sick. Like, you guys need this much vitamin C so you don't get scurvy. But I don't know if vitamin D. I'm kind of sharing a consensus of information I've accumulated over years of studying it myself, and I've heard more holistic people who aren't in the medical field say that we don't get enough vitamin D.
Okay.
But then you get the people who are more on the nutritionist side of things who are going to be more strict to the rules and standards established by FDA and such. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to give any kind of health advice, especially when I'm aware that everybody is their own individual. So your reaction to something is going to be different than mine. Even though it might have worked good for me, I can't proselytize heavy. I do with mushrooms, right? I tell everybody, get your mushrooms.
Hmm.
But that doesn't play into the fact that everybody is an individual, and there might be some people who can't do mushrooms the way we do
Right.
as far as consuming them. Maybe they have an allergic reaction to beta glucan. Imagine that. If you had an allergic reaction to beta glucan, and that's not to say it's impossible, but if your body had an immune response to a beta glucan like it was a foreign invader, in a bad way, then
Hmm.
you could not eat any mushroom.
Hmm.
Then you'd be allergic to all mushrooms. That would suck. Especially if you love the taste of mushrooms. If you were like a mycophile, you fell in love with mushrooms, but then you found out you're allergic. I'm sorry for you.
A buddy of mine actually bought a piece of property that's heavily wooded with a stream running through it. And one of the things that he had noticed when he was walking the property originally, that there was a lot of different species of mushrooms out there. And at the time, it was loaded with chanterelles. And
Mm.
he was really looking forward to it. And him and his wife and two daughters sat down and they had dinner with their chanterelles. He got sicker than a dog, gastric
Mm.
upset. Just, he said, for the next day or two, he was sicker than a dog and in a ton of pain, while his wife and daughters were absolutely fine. So, yeah, he had developed some sort of allergy just kind of out of the blue. Hey, I got to step away for just one moment.
Hey, no problem. I'm about to read a chat here. Sorry, I'm snacking right now too, but I see a comment from Loving Dean. Once again, you mentioned most people are vitamin D deficient, I believe. I heard from a study. That's kind of what I thought. My consensus. I've been thinking that too, that most people are deficient. It's very difficult to be on the other side, to consume too much vitamin D unless you're, downing vitamin C tablets, supplements, capsules, whatever. I feel like if you're outdoors, if you're getting sunlight, consuming mushrooms because they're producing vitamin D from the sunlight they're getting. There you go. That's why mushrooms in the wintertime is not a bad idea when we do have less sun here. When we have less sun in the winter, drinking turkey tail tea, um, eating some velvet feet that you find in the middle of February amidst the snow. We've got mushrooms all year round in PA. The Wandering Witch says, I think you're right, but in someone who has to take a lot of supplements, it could be a problem for sure. And I'm not telling anybody what to take because some people are on certain protocols and regimens, supplement regimens. They got to watch what they take. some people have had their immune systems compromised for one reason or another. Maybe they've gone through some kind of suppressive treatment because of a transplant, organ transplant. Maybe they've gone through chemotherapy with cancer treatment. Um, so consult with your own healthcare provider if you decide to make mushrooms part of your like nutritive plan of attack. If you have an actual health issue and you want to start mushrooms as part of that, it's not a bad idea to consult with your doctor or your physician who might be prescribing drugs already. Prime example, say you've got high cholesterol and you're on a statin drug, and then you find out that oyster mushrooms contain up to 2% lovastatin by dry weight. And you're like, well, I could just eat oyster mushrooms regularly. Sure, you can. But you now have to watch out because you're already on a statin. Go talk to your doctor and tell them, because the doctor might not even know that the oyster mushrooms on your diet are doing that. So that's why having open conversation about your health with the people that are in your life who care about your health, who have this knowledge and information, they're going to help with all that. Hey, welcome back, Shroom Day. I was just mentioning that your doctor may not know that oyster mushrooms, a common mushroom you can find at a farmer's market or the grocery store,
Hmm.
contains a drug that's used for lowering cholesterol. Naturally contains lovastatin.
I did not know
And
that.
it's not, most don't know that, right? But say you're a forager and you come across some oyster mushrooms and you eat them for dinner one night. That's
Hmm.
one thing. But if you're actively, pursuing your health and nutrition, and you find out that mushrooms could get you off your drugs, your medication, tell your doctor what you're doing. If you're going to do that, make sure they know what's going on so you're not overdosing on statins. And that's just one example, but this kind of got brought up because somebody in the chat was talking about taking supplements and watching their vitamin D. It's more
Okay.
than just vitamin D, right? You got to watch out because these mushrooms, a lot of them are so potent medically or medicinally that if you're already got some kind of like medication protocol you're on, tell your doctor if you decide to start making mushrooms a thing in your life, like a regular occurrence,
Yeah.
because it could pluck with your nutrition.
Tinctures as well are going to be super high in concentrations and whatever the mushrooms have in them. A lot of people do turn towards tinctures rather than the actual mushroom itself.
Hmm. Man, Mr. Chubby Hubby says do your own due diligence for sure, but we wish that people did. And yet we have these things like Darwin Awards and such because people aren't doing their due diligence. But yeah, you're right. And that's another thing. I give some of this sensationalism and wild information I throw on the internet because in the internet day and age we're in, if you don't do the song and dance right, no one wants to click on it. No one wants to see it. So I put headlines like, "Does a fungus cause Parkinson's?" Question mark. But the truth of the matter is, um, I'm a whole lot more sensible, and I understand that um, we sensationalize on the internet, but we have to be sensible in reality. Sensible about what we are about our mushroom consumption. It's like, man, I heard mushrooms can fight cancer, so you go out and buy a tincture and you like start taking doses of tincture, but you didn't realize that the mushrooms they put in that actually are hard on the liver if you drink alcohol and you drink alcohol. So you're just messing your body up and you don't know it. Please, people, do your homework, do your due diligence when you decide to start a new health regimen. You never know. And these mushrooms can be potent. So please, everybody. And I'm a guy who reads about this. So I welcome, say you're on my Instagram and you got a question about mushroom chemistry and I don't know the answer. It ain't going to hurt my feelings to deep dive and do some homework on your behalf because I enjoy reading these articles. Reading a pub chem article about this chemical compound in a mushroom is fun to me. Reading a PubMed article about the correlation between this mushroom and this disease, I enjoy that. I do that for fun, just to kind of chill out. So if that's something that you're like, man, I'd love to see Mr. Jeff do a video on the effects of this with this or that, throw it my way. Leave me a comment. Send me a message. I don't care. This is kind of how I get ideas. By the way, I've not forgot. You guys, I did a poll on YouTube where I asked what video you want me to do next. And the one that got the most votes, I haven't done yet. And that's simply because I want to do it right, because it's a video that I want to be passionate about. And I think you guys will really love the topic. It's that one about Polyporus mysticus or mystica or whatever you call it, the mystical polypore. So when that video comes out, I want to do it justice because I'm going to dive into discussions about tryptamines, the chemical compounds that cause psychedelic experiences. And obviously we know about psilocybin, but there are other tryptamines found in mushrooms, like certain polypores, even in Pennsylvania, and no one's talking about it except for me, of course. But this is the stuff I want to explore further in future videos. Sorry, I'm not reading the chats at the moment. Let me see if I can get caught up with you guys. Um, Checking more than one source is also good. Exactly. I mean, you're preaching to the choir with me, of course. That's the stuff I understand, but my audience might not. That when you're deciding to get into some new protocol, maybe you heard about mushrooms for your health. Well, it's not just mushrooms for your health as a blanket statement. There's nuance to this. Some mushrooms might be good for your health, but not mine, and vice versa. So yes, and please get more than one source. Imagine me as I'm kind of like I'm the guy spinning the sign on the side of the road for pizza, telling you, come check out, we got some deals over here. And I'm getting you guys excited. But when you come inside, we got a full menu, explore the menu and check it out. That's the mushroom world. I'm just the guy spinning the sign outside of the mushroom world. But you don't order from me. You don't pull up to the guy on the side of the road spinning the sign and say you want a large pepperoni. He's going to say, get your butt inside and order.
Now,
So please go and do your homework, right? You got to do it yourself.
To answer your question, Loving Dean, yeah, there are, I guess, polypores that do contain such compounds. There's also a lot of different types of common grass and plants out there that contain very similar compounds. But we got to be careful because they contain other compounds that we don't know about, nobody's studying, or we have studied and can just be harmful. So, yeah, there's things out there that contain common compounds between plants, but at the same time, those plants that are different, they can contain other compounds as well. That could be.
Well, here, plants are dangerous because I say plants are dangerous as a blanket statement. A lot of plants can contain some deadly alkaloids out there. So be careful with your plants. And not only that, and I say deadly, what's deadly? It's dose. Dose makes something deadly because any medicine can be deadly in the wrong dose. But that's why there's so much medicine in the plant kingdom, is because these compounds have effects and they become deadly at the wrong dose. So he's right. I don't want to give everything away. I don't want to give everything away though about what's in these polypores, because if I do, you ain't gonna come and watch my video. You'll already know. No, I'm kind of being silly, but no, I'll give you an example. There's the birch polypore in Pennsylvania, for example, is known. This is already info that's out there. It's known to contain melatonin, enough so that if you made a birch polypore tea, you could actually consume melatonin in your diet. So melatonin is a tryptamine, similar to serotonin, which is another tryptamine. Now, when I say tryptamine, that's not to say it's psychedelic. I'm saying that that in the tryptamine class of compounds, there are many common psychedelics known to man, including psilocybin, dimethyltryptamine, and many of its analogs and such. But melatonin and serotonin are tryptamines as well, and they're neurotransmitters that have an effect on our body. But I think I'm just using that as an example. If there's a polypore that makes a tryptamine, it has the enzymes to manufacture, it has the genes to produce those proteins and enzymes to manufacture melatonin. So if we know that that exists, who's to say that there's not other polypores that have enzymes and gene expressions that code it for it to produce other tryptamines? We don't know.
Right.
We don't. To say we know would be wrong because they're still discovering new mushrooms every month. I'm seeing, oh, they found this mushroom or they found this one. So, hey, my lights just cut out here. As you guys can see, I'm in the dark now. It is complete darkness out here. Shoot, let me go ahead and I don't know if I can turn my flashlight on.
No, we were able to see a minute ago. I mean, kind of.
I'm gonna use a reflection off my truck with my flashlight. Did that help? A little bit,
Nope.
maybe a little bit, but not too much.
There,
I ain't getting much. Oh well. So it's I don't even know what time it is. It looks like it's after 10 o'clock. We didn't have a big group in here tonight. It was kind of a core group of a handful of us. I'm glad every one of you guys came out to talk mushrooms with me. I want to primarily thank Shroom Day right next to me. Bang! I pointed the right way this time. It's
I
reverse on
appreciate
my screen, so I have to go like this. But thanking him for being here. I am also thanking all you guys in the chats below. That's Mr. Chubby Hubby back again. I should be doing like an award system for who comes back for consecutive weeks. Like Mr. Chubby Hubby, you've been doing this, I forget, 5 or 6 back to back to back to back to back weeks now. I don't know. I've seen Loving Dean, the God Machine, here a couple times now. So thank you for coming back again. The Wandering Witch. I don't know if she was here before, but she was here tonight. So definitely thank you for coming out. Appreciate the
Wandering
real
Witch.
questions.
The Wandering Witch is a childhood friend of mine. We've known each other for many, many, many years.
Well, much love. Thank you for coming out.
It
And
was good to see you
for
too,
real,
buddy.
that's the kind of thing I want the chat to be about, where people can bring their real questions and we can discuss them. And I thought we did that tonight. So that made the chat heartfelt to me. Like I'm really actually making this channel worth something to somebody else. Um, hey, was there anybody else I missed in the chat? It might have just been us tonight, and for that, I'm thankful for that.
It was a small group tonight, but I think tonight's stream was pretty successful.
Oh, don't want to forget Stuart. Early on, we had a guy named Stuart.
Stuart, he's another friend of mine. Stuart's great people.
So
Stuart, if you're here,
glad
brother,
to have him come out.
Much love, homie. If you're still here.
So to everybody that came out, appreciate you guys joining me this Monday night. Next Monday night, what are we talking about? I don't even have a topic picked out for next week because what we're talking about with the mystical polypore is taking me weeks to build up something that I want to make. In the meantime, I'm working on other videos, so I got to have a video for this week coming up. How does this sound for you guys? We got October coming up.
Stuart,
I've been thinking about doing. Oh, he's still here. Rock on.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'm thinking for the month of October doing kind of like a spooky season where I throw in maybe 2 or 3 dark tales that are fungal related and doing videos about this because I got this one story. I got a story about Ann Arbor, Michigan, about this family that died eating deadly mushrooms. And this is from the 1940s, and I thought it would make a cool video that I could do and make it like scary stories around the fire, but make it all spooky, but it's about mushrooms. I don't know. These are ideas in my head, but maybe not. We got to play around a little bit. Loving Dean the God Machine was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan. For real? Go Blue. Bruise Blue. Anyway, yeah, you probably didn't even know that about your birth town, your hometown, that a family died from eating a deadly Amanita phalloides, the death cap mushrooms that they mistook for paddy straw mushrooms. But that stuff happens and people die from that very thing. By the way, I have a video in my Fungi Facts playlist called Deadly Mushrooms and How Not to Die. I talk about this story in that video. So,
It's time for a
on that
recap.
note, yeah, I feel like maybe we should redo that video, but go check that video out that I did. What else we got here? I'm still reading comments. Tales from the Dark Spore. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Or remember the Crypt Keeper? What
Oh
was
yeah,
that? Wasn't
Tales from the
what was
Crypt.
that called? Tales from the Crypt. So we'd have to come up with something like that, but instead of the Crypt Keeper, it'd be I don't even know. I don't know what I'd call him. But I ate a mushroom that turned me into a newt. Man, don't make us jealous. That sounds pretty fun. I got better. Heard
Uh,
about that. It didn't take a while for them to expire. Unless he's talking, I don't know if Stewart's talking about the people that died from the death cap mushroom. Check this out.
um,
Here's a little fun.
yeah, I think it
Here's
usually
a
takes a few days for the death cap
yeah.
shuts down
So
your adrenal glands, your kidneys, and
well, your liver. So in the video, I'm just rehashing the video I already did, but I don't care because we're talking, and that's fun. Um, so your liver cells, your hepatocytes, right? They have a cell membrane, and on the cell membrane of your cells of your body, there's gates that only certain things can get through. That's how cells membranes work. They allow certain things in and certain things can't come in. Similar to like your blood brain barrier. These membranes are usually made of like a fatty acid lipid layer, but then you have proteins all scattered throughout, and each protein is like a gateway. Well, you have a particular protein gateway on the hepatocytes. And this particular one, I can't remember its name off the top of my head, but the amatoxins use this gateway to access the inside of the cell, and that's when they begin to wreak havoc because they bind to this particular gateway receptor that lets it in. And it's basically a polypeptide. It's a giant protein chain that goes in there and it messes up the polymerase, which is the your DNA able to replicate and make new DNA so the cells can replicate. It stops that. And by doing so, by interrupting that process, your cells can't reproduce properly and they just die. They rip in half and blow up. And your liver will literally liquefy over the course of a few days. But it takes days for this action to kind of manifest where you know it's happening because it's all asymptomatic at first. You could go the first day and feel like, oh, I ate something bad, maybe sit on the toilet. But by the next day, you're back to normal. You're thinking you're good. And it might not be till day 3 or 4 or 5 where you're like, oh crap, I need to go to the hospital. But by that point, it's too late. You're beyond the point where you could have done something about it and now you're going to die.
holy
Had you
smokes.
known you consumed a bad mushroom in time, you made it to the hospital, they put you on like they'd be filtering your blood. They'd be giving you what is that? I can't think of what it's called. Milk thistle or extract from milk thistle, which is good for cleansing your liver. They might even put you on like charcoal or pump your stomach if it depending on how early they caught it. Like if you consume the mushroom, it doesn't start doing its deleterious effects until it starts getting into the blood. So they could pump your stomach in the first hour. But why would you eat a mushroom immediately and get your stomach pumped? I feel like you would know better, right? Unless you're a jackass. But I mean,
Dean was wondering what kind of mushrooms he can keep his eyes out for in Pennsylvania.
Wait. What kind of
Fall
mushroom?
mushroom. What are some fall
Oh, like
mushrooms in PA?
some of the good ones to eat. Oh,
Yeah.
so this, I'll tell you what, the ones that I found choice and prized in the fall of all things are, would you believe there's a Lacarius species that I find in October called Lacarius, or I'm sorry, Lacaria ochropurpurea, which the name just means that it's got like an ochre color that fades into purple. That's its actual name, ochropurpurea of the Lacaria genus. And they're not too indifferent looking when I've seen them. They kind of remind me even a little bit of like your Cortinarius and your what are those, bluets? But they're not those. They are their own, and they're delicious, meaty, similar to shiitake. And I like to cook them and replace them with like something that like steak. I'd slice them into strips and I put them on a cookie sheet and sprinkle some beef bouillon or beef base on them into the gills, and add some some sharp cheddar cheese, and roast them in the oven with the broiler, and let them come out sizzling and get a little crispy on the edges. And you can throw those inside a tortilla with a little bit of like your quesadilla sauce, and add some more cheese, of course, and you got yourself some mushroom quesadillas, baby. Is it too late for cauliflower? You might be finding cauliflower still in Pennsylvania. Cauliflower mushroom's delicious. Got a nice meaty mushroom flavor to it, and can be chopped up like egg noodles because it resembles egg noodles when it's cut up nicely. And you can use that in a recipe. Um, Hen of the woods. Can't forget about one of the big medicinal mushrooms, and that's Grifola frondosa, aka hen of the woods, aka sheep's head. They're going to be found around this time of year. I think they're already finding them. So, what else? Those are the ones I can think of coming into fall that not to forget porcinis. I think you can find porcinis this time of year. Although I suck at finding the good ones, I'm good at finding the bitter boletes. I don't know what it is, but I have to go with Thomas Patterson, aka Wild Forager. When I go with him, he's always able to find the Pennsylvania native porcinis, like Boletus chippewensis.
Can lion's mane be found in the fall?
Um, Possibly. Yeah, I don't see why not. Although I've only found lion's mane in the wild in the springtime. I remember finding it in May. But you know what? I found coralloides in the fall, I think. I'd have to go back and check my videos. But when I found the wild coral tooth, which is cousin to lion's mane, grows in the same conditions, I think I found that in late summer, early fall. So I'll have to go back to confirm when I found it. But I have videos that where I found it in a video, and then I did a grow video where we grew it out. We cloned it and then grew it on like a modified masters mix. So
Hmm. Do you guys
sorry,
have
I'm in the dark, guys.
do you have blue
What's
oysters in
that?
PA? Do you have blue oysters in PA?
In the wild?
Yeah. I found
I
them.
haven't seen any in the wild.
I found them here really early spring and late fall. They're a colder climate mushroom.
I found like your winter oysters. You find those all year round. Pleurotus ostriatus. I find that. I don't find the columbanus, the blue oyster species, in the woods here. Got me wondering. Now I'm wondering, are they even native? Because
I
like
don't
your
think so, but
citron, what is it? The citrinopilius,
I don't think
the
the golden
golden
oysters.
oysters.
I don't think they're native either. I'm
Golden
pretty
oysters
sure.
are not. They're invasive. But I don't
Yeah,
know what the case is for the blues. You got me wondering now.
uh,
I,
I've only
I
found them
forget.
twice. I've only found them twice here in upstate New York, but they're
Yeah,
around.
you'll find gold. Loving Dean, you'll find gold oysters in PA, but just know they're not native. They escaped. Somebody grew them and they got into the wild. The spores did somehow, some way.
Yeah, I think William
Yeah,
Padilla
he
Brown
mentioned
had
that.
said that they pretty much escaped the lab where they were being grown, and that was it. They're the mycelium consumes um, basically the real estate for other mushrooms a lot quicker than most other mushrooms grow, which is why it's considered such an evasive mushroom.
Shoot. Man, we're at 10:21. We've been rolling for a good over an hour. Man, we're still going strong. I can't believe we're still talking, but the questions are coming in, so I figured I'll keep going. Um, what else we got here? So, yeah, lion's mane in the spring. Mind you, when I found it in May, this was around Memorial Day weekend. So we weren't too far from summer. And it was also this would have been like even before I was really into mushrooms when I found it. I'm talking I was out in RB Winter State Park 2015. 9 years ago I found lion's mane and it was Memorial Day weekend. Um That was actually before I knew what I was doing, looking for mushrooms. I was just taking nature photography. I was just taking photos of nature and came across this mushroom and didn't know what it was really. So,
Loving Dean, you came to the right place, man. So I don't have any other fungus people to talk to, so sorry if I talk a lot.
no, keep talking. We're good.
No
Um,
such thing as talking too much. If you're talking about fungus, no.
I'm attracting the moths out here now because I got my flashlight on. So I'm gonna call it because I feel like the moths are pissed at me. They're going bonkers around here. Like, what the hell's going on with this bright light? We're trying to sleep, and I'm over here trying to do a feed without moths flying all over me. So get off me, guys. Hey, thank you guys for joining me tonight. Um, I'm gonna end it. I said I was gonna end it a while ago. We're gonna end it officially now because it's super late. I'm in the dark. Once again, thank everybody. Um, I just have a hard time saying goodbye, I guess, because I enjoy you guys so much. But we'll do it again next Monday with a surprise video. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to talk about. Um, but once again, thank you guys. I appreciate everybody that stuck around. My channel is not monetized yet, and someday it's going to get monetized. And it's going to get monetized because people like you guys show up to these live feeds and help my channel get the watch hours it needs. So much appreciated. Until next time, guys,
Much love,
peace.
everyone.
Hey, I'm gonna end. I'm cutting it out. I'll talk to you, Shroom Day, in a couple seconds here. But to the rest of y'all, good night.
Stuart, Wandering Witch, Dean, Mr. Chubby Hubby, it was really good to see you all.
Later.